Hello, everyone. This is Mesha with As Long As You're Breathing, Keep Living. And this is an Every Life is a Story event, and it is a big one because I'm telling you, we have a lady in the house that whenever I get to be over on her page and watch her events, well, it's kind of like I just let my hair down, let it all hang out, and have a good time. And the first time I was there like 2 minutes, and I typed, "I am at the right place." I am at the right place. So I'm going to get some housekeeping out of the way. If you are here live and I don't respond to you, it's because you don't have StreamYard enabled. So go to your settings and please do that so I can see you. And we are very glad to have you and want to see your comments and respond to you. And if you're here on the replay, tag us in the replay and we will answer your questions. And now that all that's out of the way, Every Life is a Story is so glad to have Danielle, not Marggraf, but Marggraf.
You got it.
I've been very careful this week, I just said, Danielle's coming.
Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah, well, I'm not sensitive. My last name was Leonberger. So with a name like Mesha Leonberger, you can't be sensitive. But we all are, so. Danielle, I just literally stumbled across you last year, actually, and did have such a great time at the conference you had on your Facebook page, Sacred Feminine Visionaries, and truly did feel just right at home. You really do have a place that is so authentic and so comfortable to be at. So I knew as soon as I found you, I'm like, this girl's real. This girl is real. And so I followed you ever since. I keep up with what you're doing. And when you do have events, I'm glad you contact me and let me know. And I try to be there. And as soon as I went back to doing stories, I'm like, I know I want Danielle. And so I'm very glad that you're on. And I would love for all the viewers to hear your story because I've heard bits and pieces of it. And this is a woman that says what she thinks, says it the way she wants to say it, and dresses like a princess without apologizing. So you are like my hero.
Thank you. Well, first of all, super flattering. The best compliment I can get is that I'm authentic and that I come across as real. I think that sometimes in the online space, there can feel like a disconnect. And so that is, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that you invited me on. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And where shall I begin?
Well, wherever you would like to. The way I usually do these is I let the guest, it is your story. So I let you kind of guide it the way you want to go. And I'm pretty darn good at just falling in with questions and going from there. I've heard you talk, so I know kind of what your story is. And it's very inspiring and motivating. So you just take off and tell your story and tell it exactly the way you would do it if you were over on your page. You go for it. Do not censor yourself one bit. You be you.
All right, you got it. Thank you, Mesha. Okay, so my name is Danielle Marggraf. I'm a single mom of a 10 and 12-year-old. And so I guess we'll go back to when I was 13, I suffered a trauma, right? So I was sexually abused, and I really spent a good portion of my life trying to understand why, right? And really, I have always had, one thing that I've always had is this very strong faith, right? That everything happens for a reason, or that there's purpose in everything. And so with that, I really set out to understand that this had to have happened for me and not to me. And so I spent many, many years healing in lots of different modalities. Now they're kind of all out there, but it wasn't always like that, right? So it was kind of like I was in the spiritual closet trying to figure it all out. I ended up meeting my then husband, and we had 2 children together. And I don't know if you saw the most recent video, but through after lots of different kind of like intuitive hits, I guess you would have called them at the time, I prayed for vision. I prayed to have answers, and I was blessed to have a dream with where I was told a woman's name over and over in the dream.
I didn't
And
see this video. No, I didn't see it.
yeah, so I ended up sharing this with him the next day, and he admitted that he knew this person. So this person's name came from the ethers, right? Came from the other side, we could say. And
Yeah.
so come to find out that it was true and real. And needless to say, that was really the beginning of, okay, this is not going to be where I need to be. And so we were getting divorced. I ended up selling my engagement ring and my wedding band, which was gorgeous and I loved it. But I ended up selling those and putting myself through coaching school. And so my kids at the time were 1 and 2 years old. And so since then, so I was been a single mom for all of that time. And I really have stepped into, since then I have multiple coaching certifications and consultant certifications. I went back to school for somatic therapy, and really kind of like one of my rock bottom points was I was homeless. I had no home.
Yeah, I know.
I have a master's degree, and I could not understand and figure out could I not figure out this money piece?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. So I really did a deep dive and went back to school for somatic therapy, because I somehow came upon this idea of the nervous system, which is not something that I had addressed before. And so I really did a lot of deep healing around rewiring, reorganizing my nervous system, so that way I could show up in the world in the self-image that I knew was inside of me, right? Where there was no disconnect.
Which is somatic therapy, because you threw that term out there, so I wanted to be sure, because we may have some people who don't know.
Yes. And so, So I then took this somatic healing modality. I infused it in my coaching, which I had been doing for years and years, and it has allowed and broken through really to my clients on a very subconscious level, in terms of my favorite thing to talk about is wealth consciousness in terms of divine law, right? Using, making invisible done, right? Creating and allowing us to really step into the reality of what we desire, and that it can really be. And I always say, if I can do it, anyone can do it. I now run a multi-six-figure, empire that's growing and growing and growing very quickly. I still am a single mom to my children and have raised them by myself. So it's amazing.
I love that you said making invisible done.
Yes.
Which to me fits with, I love your photo shoots. I love how you dress. And I could just see, you need a wand in one of those photo shoots. You need a wand. And it needs to say, Danielle is here to make invisible done. That's what it needs to say.
Great. Yes. I love that. I want to get a shirt.
Because that is just so because that's how you come across, and on your page, it's just, your presence is just so dynamic, and everyone on the page interacts with you so well. I mean, it is a very interactive group. The Sacred Feminine Visionaries is. And so you took what happened to you and you ran with it. I love how, and how old did you say you were? You were like 13, is that what you said?
13, yeah. I was 13.
Yeah. I relate. I do relate. And in my early years, I did the same thing with the stuff that happened in my life. I was like, okay, it can't be for no reason. There has to be a reason. There has to be something to do with it. And that can be a heavy thing to do sometimes. And I love what you say on your website, because you say it can be scary to go into these seemingly dark places within ourselves, because most people are tuning out instead of tuning in. Because I talk about that all the time, how we are a people who are just addicted to distraction. And then we get home and we want to stay distracted rather than tune in, because we aren't used to tuning in. We don't like what we find there. We're not comfortable with it. So we want to stay distracted. And then you talk about, well, the kind of things we find when we tune in. And then you say, but it's not your fault. It's all subconscious programming and conditioning, all in the name of survival. And nothing is wrong with you. You are already whole. You are already complete. The healing is already within you.
Whoo, I got chills everywhere just from hearing that.
And it's right there on your website. And it is so true. But that is always your message. No matter what you say the topic is, before it's over, that is always what you say to your people.
100%.
So I can miss part of it. Frequently I do, or I can hit the replay and I can be busy and have 40 things going on and catching part of what you say. And what I always hear is that message, because that is you. That is you. In a nutshell, that is what you are always. You are whole. You are already complete. The healing is within you. And I'm here, by golly, to make sure that you find it.
Yeah.
That is what you do.
Yeah. I think that we all need a guide into our subconscious, right? Like we all need a guide in there. It can be really scary place to be, because we want to, a lot of times we're pointing blame. We are, we're not taking maybe full responsibility for our choices. We don't understand that our self-image is creating our results, right? And so when we start to really go inward and we have the courage to look at that shadow, right? The shadows that become illuminated, the triggers, our stuff. That's
our stuff. Yeah.
I mean, and we all have stuff. And I think that's kind of the thing, right? Like we all have stuff, but so many of us are putting on a social mask and trying to pretend we're better than we are, or that we don't have the stuff, or we have it all figured out. And I can tell you that it doesn't matter necessarily. I think money or wealth, the way I teach it, is about stepping up into your best self, creating opportunity and possibility. It's not about the money. It's about, how am I showing up every day? How am I receiving? How am I giving? How am I surrendering? How am I sharing myself? And really, everyone needs that support. Like nobody gets there alone, and I think people think that they're supposed to get there alone. And when they can't, they go, what's wrong with me? Right? But that's not true.
It's absolutely not. You're right. You're absolutely right. I had a friend, a couple of years ago that needed help. He was struggling, and so wanted coaching. And so I said yes, and of course I did what I always do. I shared my story, and then when that person got better, the person said, "You're a mess," and I'm like, "We're all messes. That's the whole point. Is I shared everything that's happened with me, so you would see that." You're not the only one that goes through these things, but I didn't mind that person saw me that way. They were better. That was the whole point, but that is why we do what we do, is because the things that happen to us, we openly share them and work together to show people that you can pull through this, you can do it. And we do become each other's coaches in a way and guides in a way, but sometimes it does take having done it yourself to get someone else through it.
Yeah. Well, you co-create, right, with each other.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So I think that a lot of times when my clients come to me, they're looking for some they want success, more success. They want more money. They want to build their businesses. They want, and they feel that there is this thing inside of them that is stuck or blocked, right? And so they want fixing. Right. And so I say there's nothing to fix, right? You're whole and complete. Let's just figure out why you are showing up in that coping, right? You're coping. And so where our bodies are so wise, right? Our soma, right? We call our body as a soma. It's so wise. It only organizes the way it organizes because that's to protect you. Right. So if we want reorganization happening, if we want to rewire that, it's really just about tuning in to understanding what that's about and supporting and co-creating, to get where we want to go, right? Really that is what, because we're ultimately all creators, but we can't create from the archetypal stress. We can only create from transformation and transcendence, right? Like, and so in
Right.
order to create and be our best selves and be able to step into the success and be able to step into the money and the relationship and the house, we need to be able to vibrate at that level of what we want, right?
Right.
So, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think, and I always say, like, I used to call myself a shame eradicator, because underneath everything, I think, is always this: what's wrong with me? Why is this not working for me? And that is shame, right? And I think we all have it to some extent, right?
Mhm.
Until we really start reorganizing, re-infusing ourselves with the real true self-image of who we are and how we're meant to show up, and using our life as the, I mean, that's the university, right? That is and we can only give ourselves, right? Like, we're enough. We can only give who we are.
Right. Right. We are the greatest gift that we have to offer is our authentic selves. That's the greatest gift we have to offer. But I think what tends to happen to us is when we it's like when we are forming new habits without a support system, we, well, I say fall off the wagon. We fall off the wagon. And I think what I see with your programs is that you set them up in a way that you support people as they are forming these new habits so that they don't fall off the wagon. And so your programs, to me, what I've seen of them, are set up in a way that it's to keep everyone moving forward and not getting started and then losing their way. That's what I see that you do. Am I saying correctly?
100%. Very high touch, a lot of accountability, a lot of support, not just from me, but from the community.
Right.
Because the women that show up in that group are high achievers. They have an urgency about their lives. They want to create. They're excited. They have this goal that they want to attain, right? And there's some kind of misdirection in that it really is hard to be consistent and show up for yourself all the time, right? And if you are only used to making $50,000 habits are different than $100,000 habits. $100,000 habits are different than $500,000 habits, right? So it's about, what do you need to let go of, and what do you need to infuse into your everyday moments in order to show up as that person. And so I use processes and tools and practices that allow you and show you how to show up in that way. And then it's a lot of practice, right? Because we have to practice it. Repetition is like queen of our subconscious.
So I think, of course, the vibration attracts the right people to you, no doubt about it. So when you show up there, you feel the energy. The right people are there, and then I do believe, as you're saying, you have what it takes to show people. You identify why they're at 100,000 and they want to be at 500,000. You can identify, okay, you're doing this, and this is what you need to change to be at this, whatever the numbers are. And then once you've identified what those things are, then you put the support in place, or the support's already been, it is in place because it's been attracted there. The group has been attracted there, and they all support one another to stay with what they put in place, what you help them identify, each one identify. That's what I see that your system is. And to me, it's a beautiful system, because what makes it work is you all are vibrationally aligned.
Right. Yeah. So we know that we are the 5 people we hang out with, right? Or the 5 people that are closest to us.
Right.
So the way I developed it is there's training and teaching, there's hot seat coaching, group coaching, like real, and then there's private with me, just one-on-one, right? Every month, and that's what we do. But this in-house support system is, you're all creating maybe different things, different vehicles to get there, but you're all creating what you desire, and you're all fueling each other. And then what you're also doing is you have access to each other's networks, because I don't believe in competition. I believe in connection, right? And so it's really all about, like, I want you all to connect, and I want you all to be sharing each other's networks, and I want you to grow and expand. And that's how we do it. When we're afraid of someone taking our idea or stealing something from us, we are in lack mentality, right? We are right. And so we really want to be in that community connection where we are sharing and helping each other, because that is going to be the thing that supports the growth and expansion that we need in order to reach more people, right? To be able to share and be the beacon of light, where we say, no, we're over here. We're meant to help you, and I totally love what you said about the right people coming. I believe that, it's like moths to a flame, right? Like, we have our soul clients. The people who are going to be attracted to me might not be attracted to you. The people attracted to you might not be attracted to me. So where's the competition, right? It's like to surrender and trust that as we're meant to infuse our life and our soul purpose, that it's all taken care of already. The people I'm meant to work with, I'm already meant to work with. It's written in the contracts, right? This sacred contract.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there isn't competition. There is, I show up as myself. The people who are supposed to come. I'm not in competition with this other person, or because maybe it's just not time for whoever's working with them to work with me. Maybe it's never time, but they know somebody and they tell them about me. Maybe that's why they're here. And maybe they're here because they have this funky little internet show that they do and they're going to interview me. Who knows why they're here. But I think one of your core beliefs is one of my core beliefs. And I love that it's under it was under your religious view on Facebook, because it's my religious view too. Everything is energy. And what you described is exactly how I describe what our lives are supposed to be. And it's that as long as we are doing what we're supposed to do, we don't get drained, because it's like a positive energy loop. So if we are doing what we're supposed to do, we're building energy. It's pulling in all the time. And if we're around the people we're supposed to be around, that's what's happening too. And so that's what happens when you have your summits or your workshops, is the right people are pulled in, they're attracted to you, and that group forms. And so, yes, they're networking. It's the right networking. It's the right, and so I love what you do. You can tell, you can see you can feel the energy there. I love just popping in and just seeing. And I'm like, yep, that one's going to do it. That one's good. Yep, that one's going to do it. You can just tell. And you can also, I love, it always seems like, and this happens to everybody, there's always a glitch of some sort. And I love how you manage glitches. I love how you handle glitches. I love what you do. So yeah, you do a great job with all of that. But so what else, what would you say that you love most about your life at this point?
Oh gosh. The first thing that comes to mind is that I don't live in worry anymore.
Yeah.
Right? When I had no address and nowhere to live, and I had 2 kids to take care of, and I was trying to really figure it out, I spent so much of my time in worry, in constant anxiety, in stress, right? And so really survival, right? Survival, stress. And I would say that it is a pleasure and joy to wake up each and every day with not having that worry. And so it allows me the space for creation, and I get to show up present with my children in a way where they are not seeing a mother who is a hot mess, constantly worrying about how she's going to feed them, because that changes your children.
Absolutely.
That changes your children. And so to impress upon them that the world is safe, that you're safe, that everything's okay, that mommy got this, right? And that, they never knew, like, I'm here with them with the times, I'm here with them 24/7, right?
Yes.
They're homeschooling and they're virtual schooling. And so we are together all the time. And so I think the freedom, like yesterday, what was yesterday? Wednesday? I'm losing track of my
You
days.
see, I don't even know the days anymore either. It was Wednesday.
Yesterday, it was like, come on, let's go take the puppy to the beach. And my son got in the car and we, went to the beach, and then we went through, he got a Dunkin' Donuts and I got a coffee, and it was like, that's a Wednesday.
Yeah.
When I used to be afraid, how was I going to put food on the table? And now, or keep a roof over their heads.
Yeah.
And now it's like, let's go to the beach on a Wednesday morning and go get, a treat at Dunkin' Donuts. I mean, I got to say, those things I will never stop being grateful for, and I will never, forget where I came from, because it's those small miracles that keep me grounded and I think authentic and relatable to people, because that's real life, and this is now real life, right? And the fact that that leap was able to, transform, I will never stop being grateful for that. So none of that little stuff is out of my mind, right? Like, I love that I get to go buy expensive jewelry now, or a purse
Right.
or all that stuff. But it's those things, these little things, that I think I'm most grateful for.
Right. Yeah. I know exactly what you're saying. It's to be able to say that you've conquered the fear and that you're calm, which is exactly why you handle all the glitches and stuff like you do. You handle them, you stay calm. You just stay calm through them. So the calmness shows, it really does. And it shows, the joy in your life shows in the way you show up for your photo shoots and stuff. The joy, yeah, your joy just shows. It's just there. So who you are, your authenticity, that you're real, that you really are this person, you can't hide it. I mean, it's there, and I love that about you, because you can go to a page and you can go to a website and you can be like, okay, this looks like maybe it's good or whatever, but then you can interface with the person, 5 minutes or whatever, and you can be like, they're struggling with this. Then you can come across someone and you're like, that's a fairy princess. She needs a wand. And then you run to her Facebook page and you're like, yeah, she doesn't need a wand. She can just wave her hands and do it, and that's you. You're so authentic with it. But yeah, I can see, hearing your story, I know that there was fear. I know you had that, and you overcame it. And when I hear you talking to these women, every time that you do your workshops, when I hear you talking to them, that's where you always start. You start at the ground where they're all at. You always start there, and it's visceral. Every time I hear you talk about it, you can hear the pain. You can hear, you're right there with them. It's fresh for you. It's not old to you. It's not like you're rehashing. So many people have their, can you tell what you do in 2 minutes? They have their, their elevator speech. You don't have an elevator speech. You have what's here. Here.
Yeah.
And I love how you do that too, because it's never rehearsed. It's real. It's authentic. It's visceral. And that's why you attract the people you do, and get the people you do. And so I love that about you.
Thank you. That is so kind. Really, that touches me. I'm going to receive that.
Good.
Yeah, I feel like if we are, we are here to heart connect with people, right? Like, it is about heart to heart connection.
Yes.
We cannot do that if we lose ourselves in and think we're too big, or it's like all about the money, or it's all about, right? It's like, no, we're all meant. Our birthright is wealth and freedom and joy and happiness.
Yes.
Right. And I want that for everyone. And maybe selfishly, because this is how I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know I didn't share this part. I've shared it in my group, but generationally, sexual trauma was prevalent, right? So my great grandmother was sexually traumatized at 13. Okay.
Wow.
This is how generational trauma happens. It gets passed down and it gets replayed out. Okay.
Yes.
And so I have this really important, I feel I'm obligated to my family system, in order to, I've clearly been given tools that other members have not been given, right? I've been on a path that, so I feel kind of chosen. And most of the people that I work with are also chosen, right? They are the leaders of their family, which means we have to walk through the fire first as a leader. And when we have to walk through the fire first, we need to, one, not lose ourselves and our heart connection to why we're doing this work. That's number one. Number two, right? Number two is that we need to really, fear doesn't go away. It's like new level, new devil, right? The old fear, right? The old fear, we conquer that fear, and then the new desire that comes in,
Right.
now comes the new fear, right?
Yeah.
And we have to conquer that. But every time we practice that, what we really start to do is we become the version of ourselves that we are meant to be.
Yes.
It's like we're not listening to the conscious mind. We're not going to go into that old stuff. And so it's like, I think I want people to know that fear doesn't end, but how you deal with it ends. And, you know, I love how you're saying about the glitches. So I think, so I had an event last week, and if you were there, you know that like the first 3 days, right, I would get on and it would shut down.
I know.
Multiple times.
I know.
I was coming on so like expert, and I was going to share, and it was so like, what is going on? And really what I realized is like, oh, okay, you know what? I'm human, and this is a human thing, and I hope you won't, you know, go away because it's not perfect, which that is more about the other person than it does me. Right?
Absolutely.
And so it was just, thank you for saying that, but it was like, yeah, it's like glitches happen in life. We get triggered, right? Things happen, and we have to be able to, it's how we deal. It's our attitude and our thoughts and our emotions and our behavior and our beliefs. That's how we show up, right? When we,
I think your glitches happened so everyone could see how you show up.
oh, I love that.
Because you know, everybody I've heard, because of course I go around watching for things like this so I can find people to interview, and a lot of people are having glitches, and everyone is saying, you know, I waited until Mercury retrograde was over before I did this so this wouldn't happen. You know, I've heard I don't know how many people saying this, and I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't show us who you are, you know. So we have to see who you are now. And so that's what I think it is, and also it thinned out anybody who didn't stay, because someone who couldn't stay and see you through that was not who you needed to be. They weren't vibrationally aligned with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I watched you go through all of that, and then when you got into the bedroom and you're like, okay, that's not even my dresser. I'm getting rid of that dresser. And I'm like, oh my God, I just about lost it. And then at the end you're like, and that's still not my dresser. That dresser's got to go. And I'm like, well,
I know. Well, it was like, okay, I'm going to expose my entire, you know, world right now, and I wasn't prepared to do this.
And the kids were outside the door, and you're like, and
you're screaming at each other.
Yeah, and you're like, and I want to go get the dress, but no, I can't go out there. Oh, it's so real, and I enjoyed it so much, you know. So I got more out of just seeing the realness.
Yeah,
you know, I've got so much out of that. So, but I think that those are the things I think that probably showed people they were vibrationally aligned to you as much as what they heard you say. Yeah. I think all those things happening, I think people were like, holy smokes, yeah, that's my life. And they were like, I'm in, you know.
Yeah. Well, I got a lot of messages talking about how real I am, how authentic I am, how refreshing that is, how, you know, how I handled that glitch was really prevalent. Like I got a lot of that. And I think that people want to feel like they're seen and that they're heard, and that there's not a big gap between where they are and where they want to be. And the truth is it doesn't have to be, right? It's we put the gap in there. We limit ourselves. But really, you know, we're all the same. I mean, we are all the same.
Exactly. And people want to work with someone who, if something goes off perfectly every time for someone, and that's all you see, then you don't know if you're going to be comfortable with that person or not. But when you see someone who has to go through crap, and you had to go through crap, and when you get to see that happen, you're like, wow, I can work with her.
Yeah.
I can work with her,
Well, I love that you said that, because I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of people out there who talk about transformation, right? Mm-hmm. And transformation is messy.
Yes.
It is messy, right? And so you need to be able to hold people in their messiness, and they have to be able to trust that you can do that for them.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's like, and people don't pay coaches to agree with them, to like them, right? Like, people don't invest in themselves, so I'm going to agree with them all the time. They invest in themselves so that way I can start to reflect, put a flashlight, pull out, kind of really start to reorganize what's going on for them so they can access the vibration of what they want, right? And they have to step into that. That is a birthing process. So, when you're hiring a doula, right? Like, I had a doula when I gave birth both times. Mm-hmm. I hired someone that was going to be able to hold me in that pain and be able to know intuitively where I needed to go and move in order to be able to surrender enough to because isn't it funny how you have to relax for the baby to actually come through?
Yeah.
Right?
And you're like, you want me to what?
Exactly. But everything has to relax and so it's like that. It feels very much like that. And I think that it's really important that people, understand and know that they can trust that you can hold them, really, because it's not comfortable. It really isn't. And we go deep. Like, I go deep. You
do.
Yeah.
You do. And you say that a lot. And you start, like, on day one, you start saying, no, we're going to go deep.
We're going deep.
We're going deep. That.
Yeah.
You do say that.
Yeah.
And I think you open yourself up and show deep too, though. So people feel comfortable. They're like, wow, she's not just going to go deep in us. She's showing us deep. And so people are comfortable there with that. So I think what your story is you're not afraid to tell your story. You're not afraid to just be, this is who I am. This is how I show up in the world, and take me as I am, and the right people will come to me. You really live all of that you really embrace all of that. That's really who you are. And so and it shows on your page, it shows with the comments you get, it shows with who stays, who goes, and it shows in all the photo shoots. I mean, you just see it in the photo shoots. You're like, yep, there she is. That's her, and so it's a wonderful thing. So where are you at now? I know you have one book out.
I have a book coming out. It'll be out in this spring. It was supposed to come out last, but then COVID, right? So that's like every story, right? So spring it'll be out. Yeah, it's called Sacred Shit: How to Embrace Your Messy Humanity and Tap into the Limitless Power of Your Soul. Yeah.
Sacred Shit. Imagine that. You have a book called Sacred Shit.
Sacred Shit. I know. So yeah, so that's coming out. I actually you've been saying about the photo shoots. I'm actually can't stand photo shoots. It's so like not, but I had a beautiful, amazing photographer and a support team with me. But I will be on the cover of Best Holistic Life Special Edition, The Power of Manifestation magazine that comes out around Mother's Day. I write quarterly for them. They have a seasonal magazine that comes out that I write for. I just launched Quantum You, The Feminine Art of Creating Wealth, which is a group program that is still open for enrollment.
Yes.
what else do I have going on? I feel like I have so much going on. Oh, and I'm going to be on a 4-part podcast through also that magazine called The Magic of Manifestation. So
Cool.
yeah. Oh, and the 4 summits. I'm going to be on 4 summits coming up.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
I know about one of them. I don't know the other 3, but I
Oh, that's great. Yes, you can.
I know about one of them.
Yeah.
But you know, the photo shoots, you need to do those because you embody the magicalness, you know, the magical, you know, it's like, yeah, you just fit, you know. I was telling my friend, because I had an appointment before this and my friend was there, and I'm like, and you got to catch the show or at least catch the replay because this girl, you should see her photo spreads. I said, they're magical. And I said, and that's what she is. She brings magic to what she does, you know. And so, you know, you need to do them. And that's, yeah, you need to keep doing them. So yeah, they needed to put you on the cover of that magazine. They needed to do that. So you need to keep doing them. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You're so gracious. Thank you.
Well, no, people should be told the things that they're doing that show, and that it does show. You know, you can just see your pictures, and you can just see, you know, they're so alive and so you, and you can just see the magic coming out of them. So I enjoy them a great deal.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So all of that's this year. What do you see in the future? Do you see more books? What do you see in the future?
So there is a second book that, yes, is going to be in the works for in the future. So whether it's next year or the year after that,
Okay.
There's also going to be a journal that taps into your subconscious. And so
Wow.
sooner than later.
Mm-hmm.
And really just building my empire. I've been asked a lot about doing some sort of certification for people who do coaching or consulting. So we'll see. That's not quite I'm not creating that just yet, but maybe down the road.
Well, I can see where you've had several people go through your program, so I could see where that's possible. But I can also see that you're going to want your quality control. You're going to want that in there because I know you. It's going to have to be authentically you. So it's going to be something that you're going to have to figure that component out. I know that's what's slowing you down with is like, okay, how do I keep it authentic to me? And so yeah, I know that's what you're thinking. Okay, I wouldn't mind doing that, but how do I make sure that it stays authentic to me? But yeah, I can see you doing that though, because you've had a lot of people go through now.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So is the second book like a continuation of the first book, or is it a whole different topic?
So the second book is based on the art of feminine wealth. So it's about tapping into that, and it's really more along the lines of stepping into the magic and the sacredness of the money container, the wealth container, how to vibrate in that way, rituals and practices that you can do in order to align yourself at that level, which by then we're talking about like 7-figure levels, high 6-7-figure levels. It's really about stepping into that. And so that's where we're headed. So it's like this sacred shit is really like a guide of, we have a part 1 and a part 2 is how it's broken up. And part 1 is going into your shit, right? Like go into really digging deep. And then part 2 is about bringing you back out into the manifestation process, right? So clearing all that, looking at that, accessing that, bringing awareness, bringing healing to that, and then pivoting towards how do we start creating that. And then the second book will be all around really tapping into the wealth and really deepening that, right? Really deepening those energies, that vibration, and those practices. So that way you can really be in that consistently. So I'm excited. I feel like it's going to be
Yeah. So it definitely is almost like a 1, 2, and 3. It's almost sounds like.
Yeah.
So what would you say? I know for myself, given what I went through when I was young and how that progressed, I can look in a lot of it were outside influences for me that caused me to be shaped the way that I am. Was it did you have like family that helped you do that, or did you have teachers, or what helped you? You identified that you didn't want to be a victim, that you wanted to take what happened to you and do something with it. What helped you do that? Who helped you do that? Was it family? Was it outside people? Was it spiritual? Was it the divine? Was it just energy? What helped you do that?
I mean, I think that there were catalysts along the way. So I think that I definitely felt, like I said earlier, there was this deep faith-based spiritual knowing. I believe as women, we are divinely connected. We have abilities. I don't think we all are tapped into our abilities. And I think that some of us don't even talk about that we have abilities, right? And so my abilities started very young. I almost think that the sexual abuse kind of opened me up to my abilities, way, where now I was relying on those versus in the real world stuff. So I think that was a catalyst for me to always be anchored into. I was anchored in, right?
Yes.
And I kind of did have this path, I was young. So I had this path of, destruction a little bit, like the drinking, and I'd go to parties. Like, I mean, we lived in a suburb where it was like in the middle of nowhere. Like we had keg parties in the woods. Like that's kind of like where right? And so just so we're clear on it was like, who's bringing the solo cups? And so we would get kegs and we'd put it in the woods, and we'd all be sitting around in the woods. But it was like I was down that path, and I think that there were catalysts along the way. So when I was 23 years old, I entered into a relationship with someone who I thought was better than me. And he drove a fancy car, and he was very good looking. And I really thought, I better get my shit together if I want to keep him. That brought me, I found a therapist who, when I told her my story, because I went into detail, and when I shared with her my story, she cried. And I'll never forget this as long as I live. She was crying. And I thought, is a therapist allowed to cry? Right? And I said, why are you crying? Because I was so detached from myself.
Yes.
That I was kind of numb to the story.
It was just a story to you. It was just, this is what happened. Yeah.
And so she said, oh my God, this is horrific, right? Like there was this horror in it for her where she could emotionally be there because she was such an amazing person. And so really what happened was, when I realized that I had all this kind of uncovering to do to come back and to connect to myself, so I feel like the catalyst doesn't look the way you think it's going to look, right? Like, so this person who I thought I wanted to keep was one of my catalysts, right? And then when I healed to a certain level, I decided I'm moving to San Francisco. And so being alone was a catalyst for digging deeper, right? And so there was these transitional times in my life of I wanted something, and then it was like, but am I good enough for it? Or, and so I just think that because I am like a life learner. I love to learn. I am like addicted to getting the next certification just because I love learning, not because I don't learn enough, but
just love learning.
Yeah. I just always want to be better and know more. And I just am thirsty for it. But, and then so there was these catalysts around. So I don't think it was someone who guided me. Like, I don't think I had a person in my life who was like, do it this way or come this way, or you need to go to therapy. It was actually the opposite. I really had to dig deep in being in touch with what I desired. And then I looked at why do I not feel good enough? Why do I feel embarrassed or humiliated or shameful? Or, what is going on that I'm struggling to get it or keep it? And so one thing that I know is that your desire is God-given.
Yes.
Desire is a God-given feeling. It's a God-given thought. It's universe talking to you through you. And then that pull, when you become pulled into wanting to follow that and you come up with, the barriers, those are the things we want to look at and illuminate to kind of get out of our way so we can be self-expressed in our desire. And so all along the way, I think it was desires that I had, and I have a drive. Like, I just do. I'm a fire sign. I'm an Aries. I have an inner drive to be okay and be successful, and I want things, and right, and I have almost like that inner fire.
Yes, you do.
Really helpful. You know, it's really helpful because it's like a self motivator, you know, and it only self motivates though, you know, for most people, you're only self motivated when you really want something. But those are the desires that you need to go after, right? And so I did not have a guide, but I think that catalysts along the way that were really my lessons.
Okay, that makes sense. And absolutely, what we want wants us to. What we're attracted to is attracting us. You know, so, and so many people don't know that. So many people think, oh, I want that so bad, but it's not meant for me. Well, if you want it, it's meant for you.
Yes.
If you want it, it's meant for you. And getting that across to people. How do we get that across to people? How do we get people to understand that that's vibrational alignment? How do we get that across to people? Because I think you do it very well. And yes, so what is the best way to express that to people, to get them? Is it something you can articulate, or is it something you have to lead people to feel, do you think?
To express the desire.
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of people don't know what they want. I think the first step is
there you go.
People are unclear. I think they want something, and then they're switching to something else, and they don't
They
know
don't recognize. They don't recognize.
Right. They don't know where to focus their attention. They have limited maybe awareness, right? But I think that if people were to sit still or go to the beach and start paying attention to what they fantasize about in their inner world, right, they will really be able to capture their inner desire, right? Whatever that fantasy is, okay? And then that fantasy, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talk about as it's God energy. It is source energy coming through us.
Right.
This is you self-expressed. This fantasy. This is you self-expressed. It is now our job, right? It's our obligation to take just the next step towards what would make that desire be a reality, right? And so it's starting to make decisions. And what happens is we get caught in the invisible of, it's just a fantasy. I don't know if this could really be real. Our faith is questioned, right? But God works through faith. And we need to step into the unknown, the invisible, and trust that if we follow our deepest desires, there is a way to allow it to be to unfold in our reality. And that is how we are authentically self-expressed. And I think you've said it many times. The way we can see when people are authentically self-expressed. When they're living their purpose, we can feel it.
We feel it.
We embody it, right?
Yes, we do.
So I think, I don't know if that quite answered the question, but that's kind of where.
Well, it does, because what it does, and I knew it was going to, is it brings us back full circle to what you said. It can be scary to go into these seemingly dark places within ourselves, because most people are tuning out instead of tuning in. We can't know what we desire. We can't know what what we are attracted to, and therefore what is attracting us, if we're not tuning in. If we're tuning out, we can't know that. So how do we know? How do we hear? How do we feel? How do we find? How do we align if we're always tuning out and not tuning in? Yeah. So you brought us full circle, because that is it. And that is what you have people do. You have people, you say, we're going to go deep. You have people tune in.
Yes.
Absolutely. You take the people that are vibrationally attracted to you and to your way of doing it, and you get them to tune in the way that only you can, because they're the right people for you to do it with. And it is magical. And that's why your photo shoots look the way they do. And I'm telling you, you need a wand.
I'm getting one today. I'm going to get one.
Yes, you need a wand for that. Yeah, you definitely need a wand. That would be, and I think all those glitches will go away. You just have your wand. The next time you do one of your workshops, have a wand, and the glitch starts. You say, "Listen, I've got my wand. Straighten your ass up."
I love that.
All right, we have about 5 minutes left. So tell everybody how to get signed up for the workshop that is still available for them to join. Well, it's not a workshop now; it's a program now for the program, and how to find you and all of that stuff.
So so my group is called Sacred Feminine Visionaries. And my program is called Quantum You, the Feminine Art of Creating Wealth. It is a 6-month program, and it is for you if you are an entrepreneur or a businesswoman, you are a coach, you are, you have a vehicle to generate income, and maybe you have this desire, right? So one of the women that signed up is wanting healthy, happy relationship, right? So it's wealth of love, wealth of relationships. So that is the program. And so I'd love to just connect with you. We could hop on a connect call, no obligation, just to make sure you're a fit, make sure that I'm a fit of a guide for you. And so my website is actually you could go and see that program at daniellemarggraf.com. Right? You could kind of get more information. You're welcome to join my group. It's free. Every week you get trainings. I post in there all the time. And every month, every 6 weeks, we do a very long event. We do like a 9-day, 5-day event where I give you a workbook and it's free and I teach you and I share with you. I don't know. I feel like those are the best ways to come. You could DM me. You can, that's like the best way to find me.
Yeah, and once she gets her magic wand, you can tune into it.
Exactly. I will grab you like a hook.
Oh my gosh. It has been such a joy. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it so very much. It's been a joy having you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the invite. You're so lovely.
Oh, so are you. So are you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, you know what I'm going to say. First of all, the weekend's coming up, so make the very, very best of it. And every day, as long as you're breathing, keep living. Thanks for joining us. Bye.